Welcome to Just Work. Just Work has a missing you because we are looking for you. My name is Nataliapolishchouk. I'm going to be your presenter, and I have also created the content for you today. Let's start by looking at the history of the CV. Actually, it was really popularized when the newspaper printing started to really grow across all the world. That's where job vacancies were advertised for the very first time. So it was around between the 1930s to the 1940s where really, as the newspaper printing started to grow, so did CVs and job vacancies. But what's really interesting is that the original CV asked for information that we would very rarely see on our CVs today. Things like illness, heritage, ancestry, religion, marital status, physical appearance. Here's an example. It talks about physical defect, poor hearing in the right ear, ancestry, age, place of birth. Very interesting. So, how far have we come so far? So, one of the main confusions that we also get is what is the difference between a CV and a resume? So let's take a look at this. I've split it into 4 categories. Where do we mark the difference? First thing that I will say is the length. A resume is typically 1 page. Almost always 1 page. Sometimes it might go to 2 pages, but that's very unusual. Whereas the length of a CV can really change substantially. It can go from typical of 2 to 3 pages to I've seen CVs up to 22 plus pages. It really depends on the purpose. And that brings us to the second difference. A resume is really focused on one specific job or specific area that you are applying for. And resume is used mainly for job applications. And using 1 page, you have to really highlight your key certifications, any kind of licensing that is required. Everything is really short listed in bullet points all over. But essentially the purpose is to apply for jobs. Whereas when it comes to a CV, the purposes really do change. Yes, of course, CVs are used to make job applications just like a resume. However, you can be applying for grants, fellowship, academic research, all sorts of different reasons as to why you might be using your CV, even let's say board membership, etc. The content is another where the resume and the CV are very different substantially. The resume is really bullet points, summarizing achievements. Everything is written in literally 2 or 3 points per area that you want to highlight. Whereas the CV is really quite comprehensive. Because you are not limited, you are able to give a lot more overview of the context of where you were working, maybe give some information on the company you are working for. And again, the content will change due to the purpose. If it's just for job applications versus you making an academic application for a PhD, in that case, in the content of a CV, you are likely to find list of publications or research documents or results. And then the final reason, which I think is really the main reason I see as the biggest difference between a resume and a CV, is the region. Resume is commonly used in the US, Canada, Australia. And the CV is used everywhere else, globally, in Asia, in Americas, and in Africa. One of the key things in order to create a powerful and a CV that's going to actually bring you results, the purpose of your CV is truly based on how you plan to use it. How do you plan to use your CV? You cannot use the same CV for academic applications, for board membership, for fellowship or fund grants, etc. You need to understand with clarity what is the purpose of your CV, and how you plan to use it will then really decide what type of CV, the length, what else do I include. So whether it's for academic or maybe you just want to send it to your network. all of those really change how your CV should be done. You see, recruitment and technology and job boards, there is no more newspapers. Of course, there are newspapers, but predominantly most jobs are advertised on job boards, etc. So over the years, technology has really made a massive shift within the recruitment industry and job boards. And technology is used for a variety of ways, but specifically for CVs, technology is used to really sort, filter, and rank job applicants. These are called application tracking tools or application tracking systems. Essentially, it's a software application that is used to streamline the recruitment process. ATSs are really used for the initial phase, that when jobs are advertised online, not only do you get maybe a handful, but you can get thousands, hundreds and thousands literally of applications. So no one has time. Let's say you have 10 jobs open online and each job has received maybe 500 applications. To read a CV can be very time consuming. Hence, these tools are really used to streamline the process, to make it go faster. And especially with the CV, this is used the initial stages of recruitment to sort, filter, and rank job applications. So when you click and apply, which essentially, this is how we use the CV. We prepare the CV, we go online, we look at job descriptions, we read a variety of job descriptions. Maybe we go to our company career page and there's a current job open, or maybe you're just going on the general website looking to apply for jobs. Once you've identified your job, you go ahead and click and apply. Please understand that there is no human that will go through all of these applications. Almost always it is application tracking tools that will shortlist you. So you may be a very good fit for the role, but if your CV is not set up for the application tracking tools to read, the chances of you appearing in the shortlist is very low. So let us just look at the generic ways. When does a CV needs to be ATS? So if we look at, you are making an application, as I said, to maybe a PhD, maybe some academia achievements, grants, fellowships. Really, universities are unlikely to receive hundreds and thousands of applications for fellowships, grants, or PhDs. So academic establishments tend to really read those. They go through and take the time to review the applications. And also, when you are sending your CV via email, on WhatsApp, maybe you are sending it across your network, you are not directly clicking and applying for a job. Therefore, when you're sharing it among your network, it doesn't need to be ATS because it is going to be a human reading it. So the most important time for you to make your CV keyword-based, or ATS, and as we call it here in Just Work, digital, keyword-based, we include it to make it digital, and that's used for any click and apply. Let us look at the typical mistakes that most job seekers, when you are looking for a job, what is it that we tend to typically do? 1, we do use one generic CV. Yes, we make some changes, basic changes when we read the job descriptions, but essentially we have one generic job description. One generic CV. This CV lives inside your laptop, which means it's offline. It lives inside your hard drive, it lives inside your desktop, but it's inside your laptop, which means it's offline. And it is reactive, meaning that you take it out for jobs, click and apply. You take it out, you click and apply. So it's offline and it's only reactive, only for you to make applications. Also, when I say it's analog, I mean it's not keyword, it's not ATS optimized. It's very unlikely to be picked up by any ATS. Here at Just Work, we really have tested hundreds of CVs, and we can say that really the majority of them are, many don't even have under 10%, and the highest around 25%. So you may have a great CV, well written, but it's not ATS, it's not keyword based. Also CVs, because there are so many different layouts, there are different formats, when a CV is not very well organized, and because CVs are by nature text heavy, it can actually be very difficult even for the reader to really understand what exactly do you do, who you are, what is your personality. It's very text-based. Another typical job seeker kind of errors that we make is that we limit our job search to one method. And the majority of the time, when you really look at what you've been doing, is just going online, reading job descriptions, click and apply, click and apply, click and apply. When you would say the majority of your job search is just applying for jobs online, frustration sets in. Even if you are suitable for that role, guess what? The application tracking tools are not noticing and they're not picking you up. The other negative aspect of only going on the click and apply, what are the current jobs available, let me just apply. The more I apply to, the higher my chances of getting an interview, which is not correct. If you don't have a strategy, already it's not about the number. But there is something that I call the hidden job market. Imagine right now, if we think of every job that is open on a global basis, every job that is open in your current country, regardless of where it is, there are millions of jobs open. If I look on LinkedIn on the number of jobs, at any one time, there's over 5 million jobs. So, and when a job is advertised, do you know where in the process it is? Has it just been open? Is it at the end phase? Is it active, or is it just because it's advertised? So when we are just looking online and only online what is available without taking a holistic job search approach, you really go into what I now call the hidden job market. Not all jobs that are currently open are advertised. They may not be picked up by Google or whatever search tool that you are using. So you really don't get to see what's really out there. Also, what we tend to do is email HR and recruiters. A majority of messages that, as me personally, as a recruiter, I have found people saying, can you take a look at my profile and place me in your company or in one of your clients? If you're a HR manager, find me a job in your company or find me a job with one of your clients. Please understand that when we receive 20 to 30 of these emails, we're talking about 300 to 400 on a monthly basis. We are not paid to go through our databases and look for a job for you. The way you communicate with HR and recruitment is really critical. And the most important part is to understand, is there an active, open, live job? Is the recruiter looking for a profile like yours? Is there a live, open job? HR departments, great. You see, at Just Work, we really teach you how you need to, who should you be approaching within a company? Of course, HR and recruiters, but we recommend that you actually go and register in their databases so that their ATS can pick you up. Any company that is creating an internal job posting is going to be able to run the back office of the application tracking tools and say, hey, who in my database are there? So you need to understand that HR and recruiters need to be approached in a very particular way for you to be able to get the results that you need. And the main difference is that HR are not just doing recruitment. They are busy doing many, many other things, from onboarding you to disciplinaries to training and development to all sorts. So that's why they tend to like a more process-driven type of recruitment. Whereas recruiters, all they do is interview, job placement day in and day out. So they do really well with short questions or short inquiries. Like, is this role still open? Does this role require traveling? You can ask very simple questions. And the important part is don't give them a task. Long messages, etc. may not have the time for it. And then finally, what we tend to do is really go to our network. And this is a good place. But you need to understand that you are limiting yourself then to your network, your friends, your family, your university ties, maybe your old boss, maybe a previous colleague. But I want you to take that a little bit more online, relying just because they may not be on job boards and they might hear one or two things. So whilst it is good because referral and word of mouth has historically been, specifically in Africa, really the way we have done everything historically. So, but you need to expand your network. You don't just limit it to your friends, family, or university ties. Go to old managers or their managers and try and build an online presence. Like I said, your CV lives inside your laptop, so it's always going to be very, very reactive. So, how can we help you next? Let's say you've just now seen a job that you think, this job looks really interesting. So what you can do is just come to us, to Just Work. We can test both your CV and your LinkedIn. We will send you a bit.ly link, so that will be step one. You will complete the forms. They shouldn't take more than 5 minutes at most. And if you have any problems, don't hesitate. Give us at most 24 hours, and then we will come back to you, not only with your match rate, what are the keywords that are missing, what are your chances of the ATS, but we also give you quite a detailed recommendation on how to interpret the changes that you need to make, and really how to make sure that every click and apply you do, your CV is shortlisted directly by the application tracking tool that you are using. Should you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.